What happened? What happened? Jesus just went from hero to zero in about 20 minutes. What happened? I know so often we come here on Palm Sunday, and if you are a human being, and truly a human being, you must have just felt some level of emotion. How could you not? How could you not? But there's been an ongoing mistake that we as Christians continue to do, and we continue to try to just blow past the Passion. It's the longest sustained part of the Gospels. All four have a long, sustained rendition of what happened those last days of Jesus' life. We're all different. I look around and I see people from all walks of life, all ages, all times. You're all very, very different people, and yet I'm going to say you're all the same. Oh, of course, we're all sinners, we know that. But I'm going to say we're all the same in regards to the story we just read. And we have to keep asking ourselves, what happened? We don't do it so well anymore. The Jewish people were very, very much into it. They dropped everything every year for the Passover. And they went great lengths and great distances to recall the Passover. And again and again and again, they sat around their table with their family and told the story that uniquely identified them as to who they really were. They didn't forget. They still don't forget. We tell our story, and that's what is the same to all of us. Jesus Christ suffered. I'm sure a lot of you could identify with what was going on. Let's face it, you've all suffered. Suffering has not ended because Christ died on the cross. You've all suffered. I mean, look at what Jesus went through. His dinner begins with his apostles fighting over who's the greatest. His family, if you will, got into a big argument at dinner. Never happens to any of you, right? One of his disciples goes to betray him, slips out, and goes and sells him for 30 pieces of silver. Have you ever been betrayed? Of course you have. Peter denies him. That's the part of the gospel that always gets me a little weepy, especially in Luke's gospel where it says, Jesus turned and looked at him, and he went and wept. What happened? If we as Christians do not recall what happened to Jesus at the end of his life, we have completely lost our identity. This is what makes us who we are as Christians. The mistake that we've always made is too many Christians today want to focus on next week. And I made that mistake for a long, long time. And don't get me wrong, the most important event in history is going to be the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But it makes no sense without everything that happens before it. And that, my dear brothers and sisters, is the mistake we make. We're trying to live next week now. I've heard preachers go around saying, don't worry about it, the resurrection's coming, don't worry about it, everything is going to be okay. But that's the end. That's not the means. That's the end of our journey. It's not the means. Jesus' suffering has meaning to give meaning to our suffering. What is the means that Jesus asks for? What does he say to his disciples repeatedly, again and again and again? Don't worry about it, I'm going to rise from the dead. Did he ever say that? No, what does he say? He says, take up your cross and follow me. Take up your cross. What are we going to do this week? We're going to remind ourselves that the way of Christianity goes through the way of love, goes through the way of divine love. What we just read was God's big, I love you. Did you hear it? God's big to each and every, I love you. I sent my son so that the world might be saved. And now, as St. Paul tells us, we have to attach our sufferings to that suffering. I'm sure you've all suffered. You've all lost a loved one. Maybe you've seen someone dying of cancer in your own family. Maybe you're watching someone kill themselves with drugs or alcohol. Maybe you yourself have addictions and problems in your life. Maybe some physical ailment has befallen you. Maybe you've gone through some trials. It's suffering. It's not like I get to choose that part of it. Our fallen, broken human condition is prone to suffering. It's not that, it's how. It's not that, it's what we want to do with it. Suffering is redemptive. I just listened to a great podcast from a guy named Matthew Leonard. I love Matthew Leonard. He's a great guy. I've known him for a long time. He's one of those former Protestants that's become one of the most prominent Catholics around. The name of the podcast, it's on forums, you can look it up, it's called Love Hurts. Love hurts. Jesus went to the cross. That's love. Parents, you love your children. You deny yourselves. A selfless, sacrificial love. That's love. Love is not like you hear in the 1970s love songs. It's just not like that. It's not. And in fact, Matthew Leonard points out that the word eros, the three forms of love that is spoken of in the Greek language, is not mentioned in the New Testament, only agape. That pure love of God that we are all called to live. So my dear brothers and sisters, ask yourself what happened. I'm going to ask you to do three things. Three specific things. First thing I'm going to ask you to do is to, all week long, listen again to the reading of that Passion. It's now going to be available online. It's on our YouTube channel. It's on Facebook, or you can go find it and read it again yourselves. But I want you to read it every day and remember the events of what happened. Number two, I want you to find a crucifix that you can place somewhere central in your home. Maybe right on the dinner table. Maybe right by the entrance of your house when you walk in. And every single time you're in the presence of that cross, pick it up and kiss it. Pick it up. Hold on to it and give it a kiss to remember what happened. That cross is the vehicle of our salvation. Take up your cross. The third thing, and probably the one that's going to be the hardest for me to ask, is change your schedule this week and try to participate. Try to be here in the church. Try to come Thursday night, Friday afternoon, Saturday evening. Try to participate. Like I said, the Jews dropped everything to recall their Passover. What do? Let's plan a Disney vacation because the kids are all from school. We're out of here. None of you did that, right? I've had families tell me that. It's Palm Sunday, and they say, oh, we're getting on a plane. We're heading down to Florida. How on Good Friday can you be hanging out with Mickey Mouse? What are you going to do? I mean, you're laughing and you're splashing and you're having fun. Commit now to living what makes us Christian. We must know what happened if we are to live it correctly today. What happened? We're going to tell the story again, and I hope you don't miss it this time, because it's life-changing. God bless you.